So we are going to use the hand weights when we come to a seated position. Basically, everything that we're going to do, we can do without the hand weights, and all of the exercises would be just as valid and effective without them. What this does is just give us a little bit more resistance work. The resistance work will make our muscles work a little bit harder, and they are light for a reason, so we only use light hand weights. Make our muscles work a little bit harder, but one of the key things is that it's really good for maintaining bone density. So when we add weight or add resistance, the muscles pull on the bones, and then over the next couple of days, as your body repairs after you've put it under the stress of doing a bit of exercise, the bone lays down some more tissue in response to that. So that's how we help to maintain that bone density, which is really important for us ladies as we get older. So we don't want to overload the muscles, so we're not lifting great big heavy weights here. We just want that little bit of gradual load just to add that little bit more to the work that we're doing. Right then, let's get ourselves moving. That's turned off, that's turned off. There we go. There we go. Okay, so shuffle towards the front edge of the chair, and we'll take a roll through those shoulders, up and back and down. Get some mobility through those shoulder joints. Just going to come this way a little bit so I can see Aileen. There we go. That's it. And then change direction. Roll the shoulders forwards. And one more. And then bring your hands to your sides. Turn to look over one shoulder. Then look down to the armpit. Look back up over the shoulder. Bring the head through the center over to the other side. Look down to the armpit. And then back up through the center. Let's do that one more time. Look over the shoulder. Look down to the armpit. And looking up over the shoulder all the way to the other side. Look down to the armpit. And then bring the head back to the center. Reset the arms. We're going to float the arms. So palms to the ceiling. And then turn the palms over, bring the hands down. So as we raise the arm, try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. So this is just starting to warm up those shoulder joints, mobilize through those shoulder joints. That's it. So we're just in front of the body as we scoop the arms up and then bring the arms down. Let's do that one more time. Bring the hands down, that's it, and then reset those shoulders. Now we're going to roll the backs of the hands just to the sides of the thigh. So it means that the shoulders have curved forwards, and then we open the hands to the outside. That's it. So keep going with that. So we've got a little curve forwards, and then we roll the shoulders back. So we're not moving our back. This is all mobilizing around the shoulder joint. Try and gently draw the shoulders down away from the ears. The temptation is to sort of hug them up. So try and draw the shoulders down. So all about that mobility around the shoulder complex. Now don't worry how far. When you bring the hands to the outside, everyone's arms will look quite different here. It's called a carry angle. Some people's hands come all the way up here. Some people are quite close to their body. So if your arms sort of come up like that, don't worry because you can't do anything about it. It's just how your arms are put together. And then reset those shoulders. A friend of mine, when she brings her arms out, they literally do that, and she can't bring them down lower. It's called the carry angle of your arm. Set those shoulders. Okay, coming into a spine twist. So set the knuckles just into the sternum. Keep the chin in the center of the chest as we rotate from one side to the other. So we're trying to get a little bit of mobility around the waist. So that's where we're twisting from. So try and keep the shoulders just square. So we've got the rotation around the waist. Mobilizing the spine. One more each side. And then bring that back to the center, release the arms. Drop one hand down to the side, and then come through the center and to the other side. So nice and soft through the shoulders. Hands are heavy. Imagine like you're holding one of those weights in the hand. So we let the arm drop down to the side. Shoulders again away from the ears. Mobilizing the spine. If your arms will allow, on the next one, we float an arm up and over, and then we come to the other side. So we're trying to stay equal through those sit bones. And let's go one more here. And then bring that back through to the center. Okay. Now, thumbs or fists or palms, just to support our back. We're lifting our heart towards the ceiling. We might keep our eye gaze forward, or maybe the eye gaze comes up. So we're getting a little curve through the spine, and then rest it down. So we've got a little extension. So support the back, lean into the hands, eye gaze forward or eye gaze up. Bring that back to the center. Let's do that one more time. So leaning into the hands. And then bring everything back to the center. Take a little rock from side to side, sit bone to sit bone, loosen off the back. And then we're going to make sure that you're at the front of the chair. If you're not there already, take the legs nice and wide, and then we're going to pedal through those feet. Just wake the legs up, because we're going to come into standing in a second. Just make sure the legs are ready to hold us. And then when you're ready, bring yourself up to standing and come and stand behind your chair. If standing is not for you today, then you can stay seated. I will give you a ball to do a little bit of the work to join in if you need to. So you're going to use our chairs for balance if we need to. But we're going to start by peeling an alternate heel up off the floor. So we've got that little heel raise. Trying to feel the ball of the foot underneath the big toe. Just make sure that those weights haven't rolled out under your chair, and they're not going to, you don't want to step on one of those. Go flying. So that's it. I think they're all okay. Nice and safe. That's it. So making sure we can feel ball of the foot underneath the big toe. That's it. And then from this one, we're going to start to bring the knee up in front of the body. You can hold the fingertips on this. It really depends on how long your arms and legs are in comparison to each other. If you needed to be just off to the side to give yourself a bit more space, then do. But your knee doesn't have to come up too far. You might have longer legs and shorter arms, and then you'll need to come to the side. That's it. If you can bring the knee up a bit higher, bring the knee up a bit higher. Otherwise, just keep that low. The fact that we're lifting it up off the floor will mean that those quadriceps are working. And then one more each side. And then rest it down. Okay, we're going to come into our roll downs. Fingertips to behind the chair now. We can do a seated version. I'll just bring myself over a little bit. We can do a seated version of this. Bringing chin to chest and gently curling forward. Still using the chair for some support here. Let the shoulders be nice and soft. And then we roll back up again. So we can do a seated version of that. Just slide the hands over the front of the thighs to get that little curve forward. So a little curve forward and roll back up again. Just mobilizing the upper part of the spine. Curve forward and roll back up again. And then bring the shoulders up and down. Okay, we're going to come into a squat position here. So with this, Kristen, if you grab hold of your ball and pop the ball between the knees, the seated version, you're going to squeeze the muscles in the glutes and squeeze the ball. So here, so squeeze the glutes, squeeze the ball. So we're trying to get a squeeze here as we squeeze the ball. When we're standing, we're coming into a standing squat. So we can use the chair if you want to, feet hip socket width apart. We're going to send the hips back, let the knees bend, but still be looking over the top of your chair. And then we push through the heels to bring us back up again. So we want the knees nice and parallel. Let's do a couple more of those. So we send the hips back first. So as if you're sticking your bum out, then let the knees bend. Then we push through the heels to bring us back up. So quads, hamstrings, glutes are working. Keep going with these. So you don't have to come down super low. The lower you go, the more you're going to get the glutes engaged rather than quadriceps, but it depends on what's going on with those knees. So really think about sending those hips back, look over the top of the chair, push through the heels, and let's do that one more time. So very functional movement. It helps to protect our back if we're leaning down to pick things up or going to a lower level to get something off the floor, load the washing machine, that sort of thing. Give the legs a little shake out. Okay. We're going to, depending on what's going on with your balance, we're going to raise the hands up as we come into that squat position. So what that's going to do is load the leg muscles that little bit more. So we can still be behind the chair. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, you could maybe alternate those arms. So you've still got one hand in contact. Otherwise, we come into double arms. And we could do the same thing seated. We squeeze the balls, squeeze the glutes, sweep the arms up in front of us. So one or both arms, we're just loading that move that little bit more. Make sure you're looking over the top of your chair. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, send the hips back. We sweep the arms in front, one or both. That's it. Push through the heels, bring it back up again. That's it. And let's keep going. Send the hips back. So I do a lot of squats. I do squats in all of my classes because it's a very, very functional exercise. It's great for those leg muscles, and the most important leg muscles that we need to maintain are quadriceps. Will help with our balance and our steadiness generally on our legs. Let's do one more here. And then bring that back up again. Just take a little step side to side, loosen everything off. Okay. Now, a little bit more challenging. This is going to challenge balance. Christine, I'll show you in just a second. So I'm just trying to find the right position so I can see everybody. I will show you a seated version in just a second. So we're going to come into a knee raise to a backwards tap. Knee raise to backwards tap. Now I'm going to gradually make that a little bit harder. A seated version, we're going to come into a heel raise and a tap back. Okay, heel raise and tap back. So we're just getting a little bit more movement through that leg, but we're nice and supported. You might find that you can start to lift the foot off the floor a little bit more. Heel raise, tap the toe back. Heel raise, tap the toe back. Okay, so guys, one leg is going to stay still. That's our supporting leg. So the knee is soft. You can hold on to the chair because this is going to challenge your balance. So it's up to you whether you start to float the hands a little bit to challenge the balance, or you can stay holding on if you want to. The leg we're moving, we just bring the knee up in front of the body, and then hinging at the hip, tap the big toe behind you. Keep going. Same leg. Knee comes up, hinge at the hip, tap the toe back. So this is loading the muscles of that supporting leg, particularly around the hip. Again, those quadriceps are working super hard. Do one more. So knee raise, tap the toe back. That's it. Bring the feet down. Just take a little step through those feet. You might have felt a little bit of a burning sensation in the leg that was supporting. That's a build-up of lactic acid. It's not doing you any harm. And as soon as you move your legs around, then that lactic acid will flush away. It just means that you are working the muscles more than they are usually working. Right, other side. I've just turned round, but I'm swapping legs now. So my supporting knee is nice and soft. And then we have a go again in your own time. The knee comes up, we tap the toe back. So we're trying to keep the hips square on to the back of the chair. If your balance is feeling okay today, you can start to just make the fingertips super light. Maybe even hover the fingertips over. But always have that there if you need it. Let's do one more. And then just give those legs a little shake out. Now I'm going to add a little challenge in. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can stay with exactly what we were just doing, because that is plenty of exercise. Or we don't touch the floor in between. So we bring the knee up and we send the leg back. We're only going to do 3 because that's quite hard. So if you don't want to do that, then stay with the little tap back, because that tap will reset you and just give you that balance. But it's up to you if you want that a little bit of extra challenge where we don't touch the floor. Okay, let's give that a try. So we've got the knee up and then send the leg through. Maybe if you can, see if you can not touch the floor. We're only going to do one more here. Great for our balance. That's it. Rest it down. Very good. That was very good. Very controlled. I can feel the concentration though in the room. I can try not to hold your breath. Right, other side. I've just turned around so that I've switched sides. So nice and soft through the knee. Knee raise. And then either tap back or we send the leg through without touching the floor. Bring it back in. Send the leg through. Do one more. Send the legs through and then rest it down. Give those legs a little shake out. Okay, a little bit of hip mobility whilst we're standing. Just going to bring the chair out of the way, but you might be still holding on to the chair. I'll show a seated version. So we're going to take the knee into the body and then send the knee out. So a little, I'm sure there was a dance move like this at some point. So we're trying to keep the hips square on. So join in when you can. Trying to keep the hips square on. So the knee comes out, the knee goes in. So again, we can do a seated version of that. So we let the knee roll in, we let the knee come out. So we're trying to get some mobility into those hips. So you'll do whatever the hip will allow you to do. So we've got internal rotation and external rotation. The hip's a ball and socket joint, so it can do all sorts of things. Round and round, backwards and forwards, side to side, in and out. So we want to keep those hips mobile. That's it. Do one more here. And then rest it down. Let's go the other side. So that supporting leg, actually, even though we're moving this one, because the leg that's supporting is actually taking all of our weight, this hip complex on that supporting leg is working hard. So in and out. And just observe, is one hip able to move more freely than the other? Does it feel tighter? If you were practicing at home, you'd go back and do a few more on the side that was tighter, because that's the side that needs it. Let's go one more. And then rest it down. Give the legs a good shake out and grab your weights, or come to seated first, but we need to bring our weights with us as we come into that seated position. So come and sit down, and then we're going to take our weights. Don't drop them on your toes. Okay? You're right, Christine. Sorry, let me give you. You're right. There we go. Okie dokie. So, remember what I said about you can get rid of the weights at any point if they are aggravating wrist issues, shoulder issues, or you're just finding the exercise too much with the weight, then put the weight down. As I said, all of our exercises are completely valid and effective without the weight. Okay, so we're going to use the weights as a bit of a roller first of all. We're going to pop ourselves just towards the front edge of the chair and rest the weights on to our thighs, and then roll the weight over the front of the thighs and let the spine curve forward, and then roll the weight back as we sit up nice and tall. So roll the weight forward. So this is actually a bit of a spinal mobility exercise. Just please do watch the weights. You don't want to drop them on your toes. That's it. Some of you with shoes on is not so bad as without the shoes. That's it. Little roll backwards and forwards. Trying to get that curve through the spine. Let's do one more. And then sit up tall. Reset the shoulders. We're going to come into some little rotations. So we've got the weights just pressing here on the sternum, and we rotate from side to side. Try and keep the chin in line with the top end of these weights. They're called bone weights for good reason. They look like little bones. So we've got the top of the end of the bone, and our chin is in the center. That's it. So we've got that rotation around the waist. And then bring everything back to the center, release those arms, set the shoulders. Now, scoop the hands up to parallel position. Forearms are parallel to the floor. Our palms are facing up. And we try and keep this parallel position here. Then draw the hands to the outside of the body, shoulders down, but just gently drawing the shoulder blades together. And then bring the arms back in. So we do this one, we call it dumb waiter, because the idea is that you're holding plates of food that we're trying not to drop. But this is a great postural exercise. Opens up the chest, lengthens the chest muscles, strengthens the muscles around the backs of the shoulders, so stops us being like this and brings us back into nice tall posture. So keep going with that. Think about drawing those shoulder blades together. That's it. Keep the elbows tucked into the waist. Do that one more time. And then bring the hands down by our sides. Keep hold of the weights, but come into a forward shoulder roll so that we're just getting the backs of those shoulder blades separated a little bit. And one more. Okay, we're going to do that again, but adding in a little extension, providing your back is happy to come into extension. So you can stay with this, or, again, you need to be sitting at the front edge of the chair. We can add a little extension, a little curve through the spine as we do that. It's going to increase the lengthening of the muscles in the chest, increase that little squeeze, that work through the backs of those shoulder blades. So you don't have to add the extension if it's too much. Shoulders down, we've got the elbows tucked into the waist, palms are up. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, hands to the outside, draw the shoulder blades together. Eye gaze can stay forward or eye gaze up. And then bring everything back to the center. So you feel that it's a little bit more intense. A couple more here. Breathe in. Breathe out as we send the hands to the side, draw the shoulder blades together. Bring it back in. Last one. Breathe in. And breathe out as we draw the shoulder blades together. Bring it back to the center, release the arms, forward shoulder roll again. loosen off into the backs of those shoulders. And we're going to do one more for our arms for the moment, before we just bring the legs in. Bring it coming into a W shape. So let me just show you without the weight first of all. W shape here to a Y shape. Palms are facing up to a W shape. So that might be enough if wrists and shoulders don't want to be holding on to this weight. They're light, but they get gradually heavier as we progress. So we've got the W shape. Our palms are up, and then send the arms to a Y shape. Shoulders away from the ears. Now draw the shoulder blades down your back as we come back to that W shape. That's it. So keep going with that one. In breath as we bring the arms down, and out breath to send the arms away. That's it. In breath here. Draw the shoulder blades down, out breath here. This is another great one for posture and shoulder and upper body strength. Let's do one more. And bring that down. And then release those arms. Just let the arms hang heavy. Come into a forward shoulder roll again. Okay. So, we're going to get you to just keep hold of the weights, but the weights are just going to be hanging by our sides now. We're going to come into heel raises, and then we'll come into marches, and then if you want to, we can add in some arm work as well. So what this will do, first of all, it's going to mobilize the lower leg, give us a little bit of work for our calves, then start to work, bring in the quadricep muscles, then start to bring in our core muscles as we stabilize ourselves, and a little bit of extra work for the shoulders if we move our arms as well. If your shoulders have had enough already, you can keep your hands by your side. So heel raises first of all. Again, we need to be halfway along the chair or towards the front edge of the chair. So start with those heel raises, alternating one up, one down, making sure that we can bias the weight just underneath the big toes. Sitting up nice and tall. That's it. Do one more each side. And then rest it down. So when we rest, it's absolutely fine just to slouch for a minute. Just take a breather, reset. Okay, let's go back into those heel raises again. And if you feel that you're able to, we can start to pick the alternate foot up off the floor. Try, if you can, not to let the body move at all. So we're trying not to let everything else join in to lift that leg, getting those quadricep muscles to do the work. That's it. Stay with heel raises if it's too much. One more each side. And rest it down. Okay, pause it there. Find to slouch. Have a little move around. Have a little wiggle around. We're going to bring in the opposite arm, opposite leg. If you end up going the same arm, same leg, it doesn't really matter. If you can go opposite, it will help with balance. You'll be able to just control the work across the body. Okay, so just get the heel raises going first of all. Then start to pick the feet up, and then if you can, just add that little bit of an arm swing. So it doesn't need to be big. Really try not to rock from side to side, so switching on the tummy muscles. That's it, you've got it. So it's like slow motion marching. Core is working hard. Like I say, those quadricep muscles working. And one more each side. And then rest it down. Okay, we'll pause there. All right, then reset those shoulders. Okay. We are going to do a little bit of work for our abdominals. With this one, again, ideally halfway along the chair, but if your back is feeling like it needs that little bit of extra support, feel free to come and sit into the back of the chair. You'll be working harder if you haven't got that support, but if you need that support, have that support. So with this one, again, we'll have our weights just resting on our lap. What we're trying to think about doing is bringing our rib cage to our hips and drawing the muscles up underneath the body, so we're engaging our pelvic floor muscles. So we'll do that with the out breath. What this is going to do is just give us, it's a bit like a seated sit-up, so it's going to give us a little bit of abdominal work. So weights on the lap just for the time being. Sit up nice and tall, nice straight back to begin with. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, we bring our rib cage to our hips, draw muscles up underneath the body, and then we sit up nice and tall. So try and hopefully feel these tummy muscles engaging. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, rib cage to hips. And then we sit up nice and tall. Let's do a couple more. Breathe in. And breathe out, rib cage to hips. And then sit up nice and tall. Last one, breathe in. And breathe out, rib cage to hips. And then sit up nice and tall. Take a little rock from side to side. There's a little black spider just making its way bravely across the floor. No one's completely terrified of little spiders, are they? Are you all right? It's only there. It's tiny. It's tiny. You just, if you were him, would you be that? Would you be doing that with a room full of people? Thinks no one can see it. I can. Anyway, he's just there. Okay, so just to add a little bit more to that, we're going to bring in the arms. So it's not a big sweep of the arms. We're not all the way up to shoulder height. It's literally just from hip to knee as we still add that rib cage to hip. So it's going to load those tummy muscles that little bit more. It's going to give us that little bit more ability to brace. So we've got our ankles, or ankles just underneath those knees, sitting up nice and tall, hands by our sides. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, rib cage to hips, maybe we float those arms forward. That's it. Draw up underneath the body, and then we sit up nice and tall. So abdominal crunch, or little seated sit-up. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, rib cage to hips, float the arms. You might feel that you can just get a bit more bracing here. Bring it back up. We're going to do 3 more. Breathe in. And breathe out. We send the arms away. Bring it back in. And send the arms away. And then bring that back in. Last one. We'll do 1 more. Send the arms away. Rib cage to hips. And then bring that back in. And then give a little rock from side to side through those sit bones. Okay. We're going to scissor the arms. Shoulder stability, shoulder mobility is going to give us a little bit of extra upper body work. So we've got a little hinge forward here, and we'll start low. So we're just coming past the knee, and it's just the arms, alternating the arms. So we'll just get the control of that, because this may be as far as you go in terms of the range of motion. So bring yourself to the front edge of the chair if you can, and we've got a little hinge forward. So we're just leaning forward, just looking over the tops of our knees, back of the neck nice and straight. Then when you're ready, we take 1 arm forward and 1 arm back, and just alternate. So now we're trying not to rotate the body, so the chest stays square to the knees. So this is about shoulder stability, yes, some strength as well, and a bit of mobility. So just get the feel for that. So yes, the weights are heavy in our hands, but we're controlling the weight. We're not just letting momentum take over the move. Do 1 more each side. And then bring everything back up again and set the shoulders. Now, on this next one, if you can stay with that sort of distance, if you want to go a little bit further, so we take the arm higher, just to the upper arm to about the ear of the arm behind, then you can make that a little bit bigger if the shoulders are happy for you to do that. Otherwise, we stay with that smaller range of motion. So, little hinge forward, back of the neck nice and straight, hands by our side. When you're ready, so we call this scissoring, because we do this with the legs on the mat in the classical routine. So just have a little play around with the range of motion. Nice straight arms, nice straight wrists. Chest is square to the knees. So we're not rotating, we're not twisting from one side to the other. The movement is only coming from the shoulder. That's it. Keep breathing. Lovely. Do 1 more each side. And then rest it down and reset the shoulders. Okay, just pop the weights on the lap. Just take a little rock from side to side. And a few rolls through those shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to change of focus from bicep. We're doing a little bit of tricep work in that move there, because we were bringing the arm behind the body, and that will get these tricep muscles working. So we're going to work a little bit more on that. Biceps to triceps. So we've got a front of the muscle and a back of the muscle. Let's start with 1 weight to get the move. So we've got just 1 weight on our lap and 1 weight in the other hand. So the bone end of the weight is going to come to your shoulder as your elbow stays in contact with the side of the body. So we bring the bone end up just to touch the shoulder, then straighten the arm down, and then send the arm straight behind, still the bone end facing forward. That's it. Bring it back in, elbow back into the side of the waist, bring it up. So we've got a bicep curl to a tricep press back. That's it. So what this does as well, it lengthens the bicep muscles here in extension, and then when we curl the muscle or engage the muscle here, we're going to be working that muscle way more efficiently. Same on the other side. So we've got lengthening the bicep muscle, tricep, and then we contract the tricep when we bring it back. Do one more. That should feel okay, hopefully, with one weight. That might be enough. And then rest it down. We're going to go the other side. So let the hand hang down by the side. We've got the bone end of the weight to the shoulder. Straighten the arm, send the arm back. Don't let the chest rotate. So everything else stays really nice and still. So all of the work is happening through the arm. That's it. Do one more here. And then rest it down. Give the shoulders a roll. We're going to double it up. If your wrists are happy to hold 2 weights in one hand, really depends on what's going on with those hands. If 2 weights is going to be too much, then obviously don't do that. Otherwise, we're going to just make that a little bit heavier. Same move, but with a heavier weight. Otherwise, stay with 1. See whether your hands are happy to hold 2. So 1 weight in the hand or 2 weights in the hand, and then we come back to that bicep curl, straighten the arm, and then back to that tricep press. That's it. So it's going to feel a bit different, especially because we've done a few repetitions already. So they're not heavy weights, but they're heavy enough for what we need to do. That's it. Do one more here. And then we're going to switch sides. So pop the weights onto the other hand. And then curl up. And then send the weights back. And then into the side of the waist, bring the arm up. Send the weights back. That's it. Try not to let the chest rotate. Let's make this the last one. And then rest it down. Okay, we're not going to use the weights anymore. So if you want to just pop them out of the way underneath the chair. Take a few rolls through those shoulders. And then we're going to just lengthen those tricep muscles. So fingertips to shoulder. Send the elbow up to the ceiling. If you want a little bit more of a stretch, then you can just give that arm a little push up. Maybe a bit more of a stretch by reaching round. Depends on what's going on with your shoulder flexibility. That might be a bit much. Stay there. Bring that down. Let's go the other side. So fingertips to shoulder, elbow up to the ceiling. A little bit more here. And a little bit more here. Maybe stay there. And then rest it down, reset the shoulders. Okay, a little bit of strength work for our back before we stretch out. So we were doing little extensions when we were earlier on in the class. We're going to think about a dart position now. So with this one, we are drawing our shoulder blades down our back. We're getting this bracing through the muscles around the sides of the spine as we send our fingertips to the back of the chair. So it's like we're a dart. We're shooting up through the chest. We're shooting up through the forehead towards the ceiling. So it's bracing those back muscles. So let's give that a go. We need to be further along towards the front of the chair if possible. Fingertips pointing towards the back legs of the chair. So our shoulders are going to draw down. So we take a breath in. As we breathe out, shoot the hands to the backs of the chair as we lift the chest and we lift. So lift the heart, lift the chin. Feel those back muscles engage. And then rest it down. So hopefully you can just feel the back muscles contract, brace. Let's do a couple more like that. So this is all about back strength. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, we shoot the hands to the backs of the back legs of the chair. Lift the heart, lift the chin. Draw those shoulder blades down, gently drawing the shoulder blades together. And rest it down. Okay, we're going to do that one last time. So seated dart. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, send the hands to the back legs of the chair. Heart to the ceiling. Forehead to the ceiling. Draw the shoulder blades together. And then rest it down. Okay. We're going to roll our hands over the front of the thighs. Let the hands just come off the front of the knees as we're in a forward curve. And then sit up tall. And we do the same thing again. So slide the hands over the front of the knees, curve the spine. So this is to release the spine. We're curling the spine in the opposite direction to the way we've just worked. So slide the hands over the top of the knees. And we're going to do one more time. Slide the hands over the top. And then bring everything back to the center. Just a little rock from side to side. Loosen off the back. Again, towards the front edge of the chair, if you're not already there, hamstring stretch. So we extend one leg away because our legs have been bent for quite a while. And just flex the foot. So we're sending the toes towards the ceiling. If you want a little bit more, we can hinge forward at the hip. It's going to get into those hamstrings and the backs of those calves that little bit more. If you want more than that, press your heel into the floor, and that's going to increase the stretch even more. And then bring everything up. Let's go the other side. So extend the other leg away, curl the toes up, flex the foot first of all. Maybe a little bit more as we hinge forward at the hip. And then if you want a little bit more, press the heel into the floor to add to that stretch. And then bring everything back to the center. We're going to rock the knees in and out. And then bring one leg in front and then point and flex the foot. So a little bit of ankle mobility, and then circle the ankle round if you can. Ankles are very clicky. If you've got any clicky crunchiness going on, as long as it's not painful. And let's go the other side. So again, point and flex the foot. And then circle round. And then bring everything back to the center. Okay, we're going to come into a little twist here. So, keeping our knees parallel, we take one hand across the thigh. So the back of the hand we're going to use as a lever. So we're looking, we've got our spare hand here. Turn to look over the shoulder. You can use that pressure on the side of the thigh to give you a little bit more leverage, but just try not to let the knees fold into each other. Draw the shoulders down. We stay here in this twist. So we're rotating around the spine. With each out breath, you might find you can come a little bit further round. And then release, bring everything back to the center, over to the other side. So we take the other back of the hand over the side of the leg, shoulders down, looking over your opposite shoulder. Again, a few deep breaths here. And see if you can look over the shoulder a little bit more with each out breath. And then bring everything back to the center. Reset those shoulders. Okay, a genie stretch now. Just to again release the back. Hands to elbows. And then send the elbows towards me. Let the spine curve. We let the shoulder blades just gently draw apart. And then sit up nice and tall. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, elbows forwards. Let the spine create that C shape. Sit up nice and tall. One more time. And elbows forwards. And then bring yourself up, release the arms. Coming into a side bend. So dropping down to the side, maybe take the arm up and over. And then back to the center, into the side bend, maybe adding that arm up and over. Back to the center. Reset those shoulders. We started with some neck turns, looking down to the armpit. We're going to do a couple more of those just before we finish. So looking over the shoulder, looking down to the armpit. And then looking up over the shoulder through the center, all the way to the other side. Look down to the armpit. We're going to do that one more time each side. So we go through the center, look over the shoulder, look down to the armpit. And then up, that's it, up through the center to the other side, look down to the armpit. And then bring the head back to the center. Reset, and then we're going to finish with our 3 floats of the arms as we usually do. Taking a breath in. As we breathe out, we float the arms up. And then bring the arms down. Breathe in, breathe out as we float the arms up. Bring the hands down. Last one. And then bring your hands down to your sides. And we will pause there. Well done, everybody. Well done.